Hello everyone and welcome back to Easily Entertained and to episode 3 of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host Ash and I'm joined by Slater.
Hello!
Usually our aim is to immortalise some of our favourite or least favourite piece of media. However, our aim for this is to hopefully lead the charge and get Tell Me Everything to actually get some people talking about it. There's so little promotion for it, it's pretty disgusting.
Well, see, the problem is, I've seen plenty of ITVX, but they're all just two people from People Do Nothing. Abusing John Boyega.
But before we get into episode 3, let's have a brief recap. What happened in episode 2? After a strained time for both May and Jonny, they find themselves gravitating towards each other, despite everything telling that they shouldn't. Jonny saved May's life in episode 1, but in episode 2, May broke a glass bottle and saved Jonny from getting strangled on the dance floor. By the end of the episode, they ride around Welland Garden City and kiss for the first time. Zaya and Louis get closer as well as she realizes how genuine and down-to-earth he is. When he tells Zaya that he only had the party because he thought she'd come, her heart melts a bit, and they kiss as well! Hey!
Go on, Louis!
Despite everything going well for him, Louis gets a bit insecure and starts to compare and change to be like what he thinks that Zaya likes. And finally, Neve is dragged down as May had her set up with pineapples, which means he's no longer nice when demanding his money. We also learn that there may be a secret crush on the cards as Neve tries to bluff this question. That was everything that happened in episode 2. So let's kick off the episode.
I've forgotten how to swim. It's too hard.
Kick off the episode as Louis is getting hench, or at least getting some exercise. Louis got insecurities, as the one thought he cannot stop comparing himself to his others, and worrying about being a virgin. Gareth rings up asking him if he wants a caterpillar cake like he's always had, despite it probably being a cake he had as a kid, but not for years. Who's to tell whether he actually remembers Louis' birthday or not? He runs through the town and into Zaya, who is confused why Louis is training, but this gets interrupted by one of Zaya's followers. Louis feels inadequate and like a spare part, and just says Coolio and continues his run. See, I whip out the Weird Al Yankovic and then leave. Jonny's in counselling again, thinking through his issues, instead of actually talking about it. He says he's okay, but doesn't want to blow his brains out. But really all that's happening now is he and May are pumping like rabbits. Louis is still overthinking and wants to lose his virginity, but is completely misguided by Jonny. The second he says he needs to go and do some pre-work, you know it's going to be a doomed night for him.
It's like, no, stop, Louis, please.
It's the same. It's the same when it's the exact same way. You know when in In-Betweeners when Simon is told by Jay to go wank.
Yep.
Why won't you get up?
Oh, just poor Louis. He just wants some good advice and he doesn't get any of it.
Yeah, but Gareth's too busy drowning in his Jay. Jonny and Neve hang out with Reagan, who says something feels weird. Maybe it's the lack of Louis, but then Reagan says at least the nutcase isn't here, which is her cue as May shows up and her and Jonny start to make out, which leads to another shagging sesh. Who would have thought? Have you figured out what Jonny's latest distraction method is yet? Andrew interrupts and moans at Jonny to take a bit more responsibility, and to lock up over the weekend, and indirectly yells at May to go home.
I like how Andrew's just flustered when he sees a half-naked woman on Jonny's bed.
I reckon he's gay, but that's just an out there shout.
Yeah, so Jonny is went. You want to know what's a bit more enjoyable than being sad?
Do it even more enjoyable than having a shag.
What?
Oh, did a jack.
Louis is deciding what shirts to wear, and he essentially pulls from the 3 exact same shirts. Gareth arrives though and goes, "Hey Louis, what are you going to spend your birthday money on?" And Louis says, "Driving lessons." But don't you worry, Gareth has got this covered. Gareth is gonna teach him.
In the jag.
Right. Jonny's mum asks if May is still around, and is slightly annoyed when Jonny says, yeah, she's still in bed. But as this happens, May has a snoop around Jonny's things and learns that he's posting thoughts. It's Tumblr. He's posting on Tumblr.
It's Tumblr, but for goths.
Yeah.
Well, Tumblr designed for goths already is for...
She sees the message, "How long can sex keep the darkness away?" Because of how May seems to respond to seeing Jonny's like, "How long can sex keep the darkness away?" My lovely little video essay brain goes, is May deciding that she wants to punish Jonny? Like, she doesn't feel accepted by her mum, her dad, or her fake dad. Well, stepdad. Maybe not fake dad.
Dad?
So if she doesn't even feel accepted in her own relationship, maybe she's gonna try punish Jonny. But obviously we'll have to see. May goes into Andrew's room and finds some cash stashed away, which he steals before interrupting Jonny and his mum, and causes a bit of a stir by just essentially going, "Fine, I'll go home." Jonny says, maybe we should go to yours this weekend, as May agrees, but the panic is written all over her face. Louis and Zaya go hang out at a cafe, and Louis, he picked the f***ing suit.
He is looking dapper, though, isn't he?
He's looking great, but why did you pick the suit, Louis?
No, but you can't change it. He looks cute.
Yeah, Louis kind of continues to try act cooler than he believes he is. Yeah. And at the end of this date, he asks her if she wants to come over, as Gareth is out. But she says she can't. But she says tomorrow, and Louis panicking as well.
Oh yeah, Louis.
He's not even happy. Just like, oh yeah, wow. One day later, and Jonny and Louis are chatting about sex and how it works. Louis is nervous, and Jonny says, "Listen, alright, porn." Jonny, why? That's not the advice to give. Not to impressionable Louis.
He gives him such bad advice for even from like he said earlier in the episode too. He gives him some advice, and it's just the fucking worst advice you give to somebody.
It's like this is gonna mislead him. Louis gonna start whipping out his knob and saying "Punisher."
He's gonna pull out his knob and say "Punisher." Oh!
And May calls up, and Jonny is still on to see May at her house. She clearly panics, but she hasn't really figured out what she's gonna do yet. And Louis calls his mum, but it goes straight to voicemail. He says he'll know she'll call back on his birthday, but, he wanted some motherly advice, and, he just wants some attention. And as he makes it back to the house, Gareth has fished out the old Mini, so Louis is in for some driving lessons. Reagan and Neve are buying Louis a present. In a sex shop, of course.
Is the part where they're like, "Do you reckon Louis wants this one?" It's like massive Bobby.
But yeah, Reagan starts going, "Hey, you remember Sarge?" And Louis gets some driving lessons, and he gets very uncomfortable because Gareth keeps calling the car her. Turn her on, Louis, come on.
Come on, Louis. Grab the wheel.
Go on, handbrake, turn all over, Louis, go on. Keep it going.
I'll put your seat back. Come on.
You're not even trying, Louis. Come on, I'll help.
Louis tells Gareth that he's going to have a girl over and has offered some advice, which is what Louis has wanted the whole time. What advice does he get for? Just don't get her pregnant. After this incredible advice, Louis stalls the car again and gets a shameful, "I should have known you wouldn't be able to do this." Jesus. Poor Louis.
Well, this makes me go, does he actually want driving lessons? Or, is he just... I don't know. Louis just doesn't know what he wants to do.
Donnie's about to make it to May's, but she rushes out of the door and takes him to a fancy hotel. Louis misses Zaya, but starts to overthink and busts out the porn. Oh no. Back to Reagan and Neve, who are discussing Louis at a sex shop. Reagan has broken up with her girlfriend and starts pointing the finger at Neve, liking Jonny. Ooh. Who then suddenly starts talking about Sarge. Louis investigates the porn as Zaya rings on the doorbell. May and Jonny finish pumping and discuss how they feel after the fact. May suggests a lock-in at the pub tomorrow for Louis, which is a terrible idea. She then laughs and exposes that she took Andrew's money, and that he is in fact paying for the hotel room.
The fact that she laughs about it.
I think the bigger problem here is that Johnny says nothing, then she just goes, we'll just down these wee bottles of vodka and pump again.
That's why I'm kind of building the thing of like maybe Jonny just wants this distraction. Maybe May just is a distraction.
Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it? Louis and Zaya finish watching a film, but Louis can't stop talking about the prequel. Zaya gives him the look, and they start making out. It's passionate, but keeps getting interrupted by Louis being awkward. Which, as he continues dishing out quotes from porn, Zaya isn't really feeling, but goes along with it until Louis calls her a slut. She gets upset because he's not being himself. You're acting like a dumb kid who's watching too much porn. Zaya declares this has never happened, and Louis is set to realise that he is acting like a knob.
I don't usually get embarrassed by things, but seeing Louis just start busting out the porn quotes, my brain just went, nah, Louis, please, stop it. You're not ready.
Like, the porn stuff isn't really that awkward, personally. But I can understand why for some people it would be.
You're not even changing your voice up that much, so it just sounds like you. At least most people, I'd imagine most people do like a slight different voice, so it's not just them. Oh yeah, you dirty bitch. Oh. Yeah, this did ruin me though. I was very embarrassed for Louis.
I did feel bad for Louis.
Neve is on her date with Sarge, but she's a bit of a dick about it. I'll be like, fair enough, but the second that Jonny texts, she's like, yeah, Sarge, yeah, Sarge, he's saying some fairly cool stuff if you're a little nerd. Talking about some like cool hacking he did. He hacked a school site and just made it a Viagra shop for a day. That was fun.
That's pretty sick, to be fair.
And the login is about to begin as Jonny monologues in a really unsure way. Yeah, one thing I was thinking about is the idea that ever since May saw that Jonny post, she pretty much went, maybe if we do shack, maybe I can get what I want.
I don't know how to describe it. She knows that she can use him, I guess, now.
Yeah.
As well. Then again, I think there's also the bit of her that also just wants happiness.
Yeah, no, she definitely does, but she
doesn't understand how to do it.
Neve and Reagan turn up as well, as we get more emphasis put on the whole Neve has a secret crush. And Louis stays home and just kind of sits there like, oh god, what did I fucking do? He thinks about giving the lock-in a miss, but Gareth shows up and just starts to embarrass him, so, you know, he does get there in the end.
Anything to get away from Gareth and his jag.
Neve distracts from the question again as her and Jonny bust out their dance, which May gets jealous over, who comes over, gives them shots, and just starts necking. Right in the middle of everyone. And Neve gets upset, and Reagan's like, huh? Yeah, so about this, you having a secret crush on Jonny, huh? What's that about? You're not telling the truth.
Neve just goes, fuck off, you don't know me.
Pretty much. And yeah, May kind of goes, hey Jonny, are you having fun? And then she proceeds to post, hey, lock in free beer. And this is where my angle of her trying to punish Jonny for using her as a coping mechanism type deal.
My other theory is that she just wants everyone to hate Jonny, so she can have him to herself.
Yeah.
Because she's never had anyone else.
At this point, it's easy to say we've uncovered one of the big, underlying secrets with Neve, where she just blatantly decides to refuse to accept that, yeah, she likes Jonny. Well, it's more so, it's what she's hiding about herself. She's hiding it from herself, whether she means to or not. She's just deciding to not, think about it, so it hurts a bit less. And, yeah, as we said, this leads to her yelling at Reagan, who then just kind of goes, hey, Zaya, hello. Fine.
Yeah, goodbye.
I've got other friends, dickhead. Louis arrives, and Jonny makes a big drunken speech about him, which is fine. But see, Jonny kind of asks like, "Oh yeah, did you do it?" And Louis doesn't really say no. So Jonny's like, "And he lost his virginity tonight." Yay. But Louis kind of goes, "I didn't, and I probably never will," and leaves.
Really sad.
Yeah. Jonny goes after him, and they have a big kind of argument. Louis questions why he'd even listen to Jonny, and which sends Jonny to kind of go into a rant like, "Mate, you have everything. You've got your parents, you got money, you have everything you can need." But Louis says, "Yeah, you're right, but you want to know how many PlayStations I have, Jonny? 4 PlayStation." Because Gareth just keeps buying them and forgetting. And even then, Louis kind of goes, "I kind of wish that my parents were dead." And Jonny's just kind of like, don't say that, man. And then Louis doubles down on this and says, "Yeah, it's true." Because they don't take him seriously, and nobody does. He also tells them to stop calling him Lulu, because he's always hated it. Man.
Felt so bad. I was like, man.
He's just trying to exist.
May tells Neve that she has won, and then Jonny comes back into the pub, struggling to deal with everything going on. He sees a vision of his dad asking him if this is okay. This prompts him to try and get someone to stop using his dad's glass, but that breaks when it falls to the floor, and he goes to May and tries to get her to stop it. But even she coldly says, "No, Jonny, I thought this is what you wanted." Havoc starts to break out as the lights flicker on, and it's Andrew at the front door killing the party. The morning after, the mum calls a family talk in the kitchen. As Louis is having another driving lesson on the road, Gareth starts to question Louis' every move and dramatically emergency stops. Louis calls the scene and lets out all of his anguish. He just wants Gareth to take him seriously, his mum to be more of a mum. He just wants to be treated like an adult. Gareth nearly nails the next bit. I said it's okay, he was late developer too.
Yeah, this bit's funny to me because I'm not sure if it's because it's like, oh yeah, I know what it was like at your age.
Finally, I can relax and just get on with being 16.
Louis, I don't know whether it's Gareth forgetting that Louis is 17 or Louis just kind of being like, oh yeah, it'll feel good. You know, Gareth, he's going to be a late bloomer. He's going to be like 19. I've still got so much time. 16. Ah.
You bastard. Jonny gets up for the family chat and says he'll pay Andrew back and clean up the pub, which leads to Andrew saying you need to grow up.
Basically, the second Jonny says, I don't want to grow up, I've already had to do it before. That, like, resentment, I feel like a lot of people could really understand, because it is a shock, right? You suddenly go, oh, one of my parents is dead. They were like a big support, they were a big safety net. They were doing half the things I took for granted now. And now I've got to do them by myself. I don't want to. But obviously it's because you don't get the choice. So, yeah, that...
You've just got to keep moving, don't you? That's the way I described it.
Yeah,
just keep going and you learn.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a lot harder. Also, just in my case, there's also a bit of resentment because, yeah, the older siblings meant that they still, you know, they had it all. They had all of the adult. Like, they had it all the way up to adult, mostly. But there was me at, like, 12 years old going, oh, Christ, I'm now going to do all this serious stuff now. Like, what am I supposed to do?
You don't grow up. I don't fucking want to grow up. I've already had to.
But yeah, it was a good scene. And it's one of the first times they actually, like, as a family, they actually kind of talk about it.
Jonny's mum says that doing all of this won't bring his dad back. Jonny finally admits that he can't remember not feeling like this and wants to make it up to her. Jonny's mum tells him that he needs to stop seeing May and for once he will get a bit of peace. Jonny shuts out May, Louis shuts him out, and Neve watches from afar, finally creeping in that she actually likes Jonny. Louis apologizes to Zaya, and he explains that he's sorry and that he thought he wasn't good enough for her. And she explains that she liked him because he's different and not like all the other boys. She says he doesn't have to pretend for people to like him, and that some girl is going to love him as she walks off. I guess Louis and Zaya are over then?
But are they really?
Until the next episode!
Yeah, I don't actually remember. I don't remember much of Zaya's subplot, I'll be honest. But The fact that she said, no, but the fact that she said, you know, you don't have to pretend for people to like you, kind of creeps into the idea that, you know, she went viral once, and now she's trying to be like this influencer type, and, you know, trying to keep all of this like attention towards her, but she doesn't really know what to do with it, really. She's just trying to keep it going, but yeah, I think that will be Zaya's subplot, really. Neve apologizes to Reagan about snapping at her, but yeah, does accept, yeah, fair enough, you were right. Louis asks for more respect from both Jonny and Neve, and they all make up. Jonny and Louis do the most disgusting thing, where they both lick the tip of their finger, put it in each other's mouths, and wiggle it around, and it's like, what the hell, guys, this is gross as shit.
Imagine you're in that cafeteria and you see that, you're gonna be like, what the f?
Neve talks to Jonny about May, and she throws out the line that essentially Reagan told her, saying, if you want her, go get her. It's just really like a sad puppy. Just like, oh.
That's just what friends do.
Louis opens his gift from Neve, and it's a sex book with tips. He kind of like gets slightly upset for a second, like, oh, god damn it. But then about 2 seconds later, immediately goes, oh, we're gonna read this, boys. Oh, and yeah, we get another scene where Neve is just kind of looking through her photos on her phone, just kind of crying, just like, oh man, this sucks. In the final scenes of the episode, Jonny goes to see May at her house. The door is opened by May's mum, and he asks if May is here, but the mum says no, she's probably with her dad. Jonny's face drops, as he doesn't know how to feel, as the one girl he confided in and possibly, you know, could possibly be starting to love at this point, has lied about something so huge.
Mentally to end the episode.
Like I said, they're so good at lining up the bloody cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you started to kind of go, man, this episode was a bit darker. It didn't really feel as nice. But then they throw in that one and you're like, oh.
Is May here?
No, don't know where she is. Probably with her dad.
Alright, and that was everything about Tell Me Everything Episode 3. Now let's actually do a bit more of a review about it. Let's see what we liked, what we didn't like, and obviously go into where Slater thinks the plot lines for each character is going to go. So, what did you think about the episode as a whole?
Overall, it was a lot darker than I would say episode 1 or 2. I think you're right there.
Yeah.
But I can kind of feel the plot line where it's going to go that, well, Jonny and May have to break up now. That has to happen, surely.
Yeah.
Now that he knows that she's been lying about her dad being dead.
I think if it was literally anything else she'd lied about, probably would have water under the bridge.
Yeah.
But because she lied about having a dead dad when he's still grieving so hard about his, that's just, like, unforgivable.
Yeah, it's going to break him. I think Louis and Zaya's going to fuck. I think in episode 6, I think there's going to be a scene in episode 6 where Neve and Jonny start dating, and Neve looks May in the eyes and just goes, "No, I won. I'm gonna lose it.
I suppose just to delve a bit deeper in the Zaya and Louis. Is it an immediate like get back together, or is there going to be a bit of a cool off?
Nah, there's going to be somebody who's going to pump her in the meantime. Yeah.
Do you not reckon someone's going to want to pump Louis?
No.
Poor Louis.
No, someone might want to pump Louis, but I don't think Louis is going to want to pump them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like someone might try being Louis, but he's still attached to Zion.
So how does your prediction of Louis being gay or bi come into it then?
That was episode 1. May has to get some sort of comeuppance because she's just been such like an asshole to everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There has to be a moment where May, Jonny, and Neve end up at May's house.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun to think about these points and slightly develop them a bit more and just kind of get some more. And I suppose as a part of the episode, Like we said, it's not as fun as the other ones. This is like a bad day in terms of an episode.
It's not a bad episode, Phil. It's still a really good episode.
Yeah, it's a great episode, but like this is a part of the like teen life where things start to go wrong. You know, like yeah, sure, on the surface everybody's doing okay, but now all of the cracks are forming. Everybody's starting to kind of get a little bit upset and
instead of just seeing Jonny feeling down, we're seeing all of them feel down.
Do we see any more visions of Johnny's death?
Oh, every episode.
I suppose I do enjoy the tone shift. That was something they managed to pull off very well. Because it eases you in, it's a bit like, oh, shock, but then this episode is a lot darker, so you just kind of you can now start to see that some of the characters' like coping methods are like not who they actually are. It's
just anything to make them feel good.
So it just kind of adds the layers to it, which is a really like cool thing. If we do a vague episode rating, what do you reckon you would score it out of 10?
I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Like, there's no way you're gonna keep all of the momentum from the first one.
Like episode 1, I would give like an 8.5. We're going down by 0.5 each episode.
I suppose that was episode 3 of Tell Me Everything. We have been easily entertained. I've been Ash.
I've been Slayer.
And make sure to watch us next week as we go into episode 4, as it's getting darker, and just how is it all gonna blow over?
Goodbye!